This is the first part of the Professional Billiard Instructor Association Instructor Training Program. My name is John Harlock. I'm a Master Pbia It instructor. I've been teaching pool for about 15 years. I have a bachelor's degree in education from Southern Illinois University, and I was a training specialist in the United States Navy. This course provides the knowledge needed for entry-level Pbia It instructors to teach pool and billiards effectively. At the end of this course, candidates for instructor certification at the recognized level will be ready to attend training with an advanced or master Pbia It instructor. Following completion of the training, the recognized instructor will be able to teach and deliver instruction from a prepared lesson plan using instructional aids and evaluation tools. The instructor will also be able to adapt the lesson plan for personal use and complete the reporting requirements to the PBIA. Topic 1. The PBIA Code of Conduct. Upon completion of this topic, the student will be able to understand the importance of ethical behavior that is aligned with the mission, vision, and values of the PBIA. Understand the instructor's professional responsibility in upholding the values of the PBIA. Know where to find PBIA policies and procedures. Understand the possible consequences of not following the PBIA's policies and procedures. The PBIA Code of Conduct is the standard by which all PBIA instructors provide services to students and commit to continuous improvement. The Code of Conduct and other information can be found on the PBIA website. When you become a recognized instructor, you will agree to abide by the PBIA Code of Conduct. Take a few minutes to look at the elements of the code. I'll then discuss each of the elements individually. The instructor's primary obligation is to help students improve their playing skills and get a greater understanding of the game. There's no more satisfying experience than having a student contact you and tell you that they just won a tournament or increased their ranking in one of the pool leagues. That's what it's all about. Now, as an instructor, you may acquire a sponsor or become a dealer for pool-related products. There's no problem with doing this, provided you deliver the instruction that the student paid for. Your instruction should provide effective, positive teaching techniques. Effective training techniques have proven to help the student learn. Think back to when you were in school or in a training class. What made you like the training? Here's some examples of positive teaching techniques. See if you can come up with a few more. Have fun. Express your passion for the game and how much you enjoy teaching it. Get to know the students. Use first names. Use positive reinforcement when they answer questions. Point out the student's strengths. When discussing flaws, focus on the solution, not on the flaw. And above all, listen to the student. There are 3 domains of learning: knowledge, skill, and attitude. Most instruction deals with the knowledge and skill domains. The attitude domain is largely influenced by you serving as a role model. When you exhibit a positive attitude, it can be contagious. An instructor maintains a high degree of professional standards in all aspects of instruction. But you have to ask yourself, what is a professional? The term professional refers to anyone who gets paid to perform an activity that requires a certain level of education, skill, or training. There is typically a required standard of competency, knowledge, or education that must be demonstrated, often in the form of an exam or a credential, as well as adhering to codes of conduct and ethical standards. We'll take a look at some examples of the professional standards. Professionals have specialized knowledge. They may or may not have academic qualifications, but they have a wealth of knowledge and skills and are committed to improving their abilities. They keep their knowledge and skills up to date so they can deliver the best work possible. Professionals are competent. They get the job done effectively and efficiently. Professionals are reliable. They deliver on their promises. If they can't, they work with their client right up front to make things right. They don't make excuses. They find solutions. It's vital that professionals are honest and demonstrate integrity. They keep their word. If a project or job is beyond the scope of their experience, they're not afraid to admit it. They then direct the client to someone who can help them. They never compromise their values, and they do the right thing, even when it means taking a harder road. Professionals are accountable. They take full responsibility for what they say and what they do, especially when they make a mistake. Professionals exhibit self-control. This means that they stay professional under pressure. They're polite and respectful to clients and peers. They show a high degree of emotional intelligence and are careful to consider the emotions and needs of others. They listen and observe. They don't let a bad day impact the way they behave with colleagues and clients. Professionals look the part. They don't show up to work sloppy dressed or with untidy hair. They dress appropriately for the situation. This gives them an air of confidence. The last element in the code involves continuous improvement. The instructor will continuously strive to advance his or her instructional skills and training material. You can acquire additional pool-related skills that you can teach through the internet, in books, videos, and magazines. You can enhance your teaching skills by reading books, taking online courses, or observing other teachers. When given the opportunity, work with and help other instructors and Pbia staff. Consequences for not adhering to the code involve a loss of respect. Loss of self-respect, how you feel about yourself, a loss of student respect, and a loss of respect from your peers and colleagues. When you lose this respect, you can also lose business opportunities. Students refer other clients to you based on their experience in your class. Peers, colleagues also refer students to you based on your abilities and how you approach your job. And of course, there can always be administrative action taken by the Pbia that could cause you to lose your certifications. Upon completion of this topic, the student will be able to differentiate between a speaker and a trainer. Describe the systematic approach to training. Describe the components of a learning objective. Describe the elements of a training plan. Describe how adults learn. Describe interactive training methods. There's a big difference between speaking and training. Simply put, the purpose of a speech is to inform, persuade, or entertain, or all of the above. Training is about changing the participant's behavior. Behavior change requires more expertise and tools than just reading from a set of notes. Training is about how the students, can perform. Speaking, if done well, the audience is impressed with the subject and the speaker. Approval is generally in the form of applause, laughter, sales, or perhaps votes. Training, if done well, the student will gain knowledge that he or she didn't have before, or will be able to perform a task or a new skill, or improve an existing skill that they didn't have before. Additionally, the student's confidence will also grow. The systematic training model is a simple four-stage process developed by trainers in the 1960s and is a basis for present-day learning and training programs. It begins with the training needs assessment and ends with its evaluation. The process will be discussed as it relates to teaching pool. The four stages are as follows. The training process always begins with identifying areas where individuals lack skills, knowledge, or the ability to perform specific tasks. You can identify the needs by asking the students what they're having difficulty with, by observing the students while shooting pool, or you can perform a formal task analysis. Now, task analysis, you compare the current performance to a desired performance. In the case of pool, you would compare an actual stroke compared to a well-executed pendulum stroke. Afterwards, you would identify the gaps or the flaws in the stroke and to develop a plan to correct them. The next step is to plan the training. This includes multiple aspects that are critical for the entire model. It focuses on developing learning objectives, then deciding the appropriate techniques, content, materials, facilities, and trainers needed to conduct the training. Techniques are nothing but different methods of training. Training content is more about developing customized, simple, and quality training content. Materials not only includes workbooks, but also manuals and PowerPoint presentations or audio-visual aids. Training facilities and locations for one or two students can be an instructor or the individual's home. Clinics would need to be done at a pool room. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are plenty of training plans already in existence, developed by pool instructors in the past. They can be customized for your needs. Training implementation involves good communication skills. Besides lectures, you'll be speaking during demonstrations and drills. A good questioning technique is essential. You'll need to know how to demonstrate specific tasks, facilitate discussions with multiple students, and use media, handouts, and training aids effectively. Training evaluation is the key area for the success of any training program, as it's linked to the learning objectives. It's a process to analyze the effectiveness and impact of the training on the student. Written and oral exams are used to evaluate knowledge-based objectives, while performance assessments are used to evaluate skill-based objectives. Formal written and performance exams are not always necessary. Usually, instructors just ask students questions and observe their performance at the table and give the student feedback and what's needed to be worked on during practice. Studies show that varying your teaching methods and materials will improve student retention and recall of information and enhance their learning experience. The learning pyramid, sometimes referred to as the cone of learning, developed by the National Training Laboratory, suggests that most students only remember about 10% of what they read from textbooks, but retain nearly 90% of what they learn through teaching others. The learning pyramid model suggests that some methods of teaching are more effective than others, and that varying teaching methods will lead to a deeper learning and longer-term retention. The learning pyramid suggests that lecture is one of the most ineffective methods for learning and retaining information. Lecture is a passive form of learning where you simply sit back and listen to information being spoon-fed to you by your teacher or instructor. Attempting to acquire information and gain understanding only through lectures is not the most effective way of learning. However, auditory learners tend to find lectures more stimulating and educational than students who have non-auditory learning styles. Lectures are most effective when students arrive to class prepared, actively participate in class discussion, and take good notes. Reading. While more effective than lecture, reading is still one of the less effective methods for acquiring and retaining information. However, if you are a visual learner, reading textbooks will likely be a more effective learning method for you than for students with non-visual learning styles. Notwithstanding, reading textbooks is a necessary and required method for study in most academic settings. There are several strategies for reading textbooks that can greatly improve your ability to retain and recall what you read in your textbook. The learning pyramid suggests that audiovisual learning methods only lead to a 20% retention of information learned. The audiovisual learning method may incorporate various audiovisual learning teaching tools, including videos, sounds, pictures, and graphs. However, as media and computer technology continue to evolve, new forms of audiovisual instruction are leading to more effective learning and retention of material. The effectiveness of the audiovisual learning and study methods are enhanced when combined with other, more active forms of study. Demonstration usually involves the teacher or instructor providing students a learning task that they can observe. Within the structure of learning pyramid, demonstration is the first of 7 study methods that involves active learning. Demonstration tends to offer students less ambiguity than passive study methods and leads to fewer misconceptions and greater understanding. Demonstration can be an effective study method, especially when information is ambiguous or confusing. Discussion, or group discussion, is a form of cooperative learning. It is also an active study method that can lead to greater retention of information and material studied and a higher academic achievement. Unlike competitive and individualistic approaches to learning and studying, discussion is a cooperative learning method that relies on students interacting and studying material with other students and instructors. Discussion groups are intended to stimulate student thinking and increase participation and engagement. Discussion can occur within a classroom by forming study groups. Practice. Practice by doing is a form of discover learning. It's one of the most effective methods for teaching and study. The method of study encourages students to take what they learn and put it into practice, whereby promoting a deeper understanding and moving information from short-term to long-term memory. Practice by doing makes material more personal and thus more meaningful to the student. Practice by doing also leads to more in-depth understanding of the material, greater retention, and better recall. The key to subject mastery is teaching it to others. If you're able to accurately and correctly teach a subject to others, you'll have a very good mastery of the concepts and a superior retention and recall. Students are able to retain about 90% of what they're able to teach to others. The most common form of teaching others is peer tutoring. However, the best place to teach others is in a study group. One of the main activities that should occur in an effective study group is peer-to-peer teaching, where each group member takes the opportunity to teach another group member. Another method which is extremely good is to swap the roles. Let the student teach the instructor. Give a demonstration. After the demonstration and after the student successfully shows that he had mastery of the concept, have the student then demonstrate it to you and explain what he or she is doing. The effectiveness of any teaching method, as presented in the learning pyramid, will also be influenced by the student's learning style. Some students retain and recall information best through visual learning, while others are auditory learners. Also, remember that the key here is to vary your method of teaching. Don't assume that just because the learning pyramid suggests that lectures are the least effective study method for retaining information, that lectures aren't important. Lectures are still very important. Each of the learning methods presented in the learning pyramid are important. Even if it's difficult for a student to remember everything that's taught during lectures, the notes taken during a lecture can later be used in a group or to teach the materials to others. Vary your teaching methods and focus on methods and teaching styles that yield the best result for you.